It's time for Quarantine Cabaret Cocktails with Robert Bannon and Lee Lessack.
The lion is still here. The lion is still here from last night.
Boy, did we have fun.
You know, the backstory to the lion is I borrowed it from my ex-wife, which not many people can say.
That they borrowed a lion from their ex-wife. Or that they have an ex-wife.
Well, that was a whole long time ago. We've all grown from that.
Well, last night, for those of you that are not aware, we had our third episode of the Broadway cast reunion series, and we assembled some of the original Broadway cast of The Lion King, including Tony and Grammy winner Heather Headley, which was a thrill. What a delight she was.
I think we were so nervous.
I was kind of nervous because she's a huge superstar and I love her. So that was great. And they hadn't seen each other in like decades. So it was really special. They told great stories, and we had Tom Allen Robbins, who played with the original Pumbaa, and we had Max Casella, who was Timon, and we had Jeff Hoyle, who was Zazu, and we had Bradley Gibson, who is the current Broadway Simba, and then we had the beautiful and delightful Linda Way, who has been in the show since it opened, 23 years.
Amazing.
That's stamina.
It was really fun. That is really stamina. Fun.
And you know what was really exciting? We were trying to get like a shout out video from Tim Rice, because why not? And he sent the sweetest note to the cast.
Look at that.
I'm just going to let y'all read it while I have a drink.
Tim Rice wrote, I looked in my inbox and there was a thing that said from Tim. And I was like, I don't know anyone named Tim. I don't know. I didn't swipe left or right on no Tims. So, Tim Rice.
We've gotten very bold on this show. The people we ask for things.
Listen, Amelia and Alex are here. They're from Jersey, like me. We have no shame, Lee. I will drag you down to the Jersey gutter if the last thing I do.
I'm a little concerned that you're serious about that, but
oh yes, dead serious.
Anyway, we're very excited to be here tonight. We have two incredible guest hosts, but what a week this has been. I was trying to get, obviously, like the biggest thing that's happened this week is the Oprah interview with Meghan and Harry, and I have friends in London. I was trying to get one of them to come on and like talk about it, because I have a friend who's a newscaster in London, and he wrote a piece I saw on Facebook, I think, about it, and we're such royal lovers over here because it's what we don't know, you know what I mean? So it's all the mystery of it all, and I think that anyway. What did you think? I couldn't get in. I was trying to get literally in the last half hour. I thought, wouldn't it be fun? I'll get one of our friends from London on. But
what did I think? Oh my goodness. I love that Oprah's at a point in her life and career where she just wears glasses all the time, and that she doesn't even put contacts in anymore. I love her backyard by that big tree where she interviews people.
It wasn't her yard.
Oh, okay. Well, in my head,
it was at a friend's house. Yeah.
Who's friends with Oprah and Prince Harry?
Right. I think any neighbor they ask would say yes.
We'll ask them next week when there are special guests on Quarantine Cabaret Cocktails.
No, but I think it's interesting also that one of the things that I'm hearing and reading a lot about is the fact that Prince Philip is obviously not well. He had a heart procedure. He's in the hospital, and he's been in the hospital for like 20 some days. And a lot of the British press is saying that the timing was off and whatnot. I don't know how it works in terms of like CBS scheduling things, and this was probably scheduled months ago, but should they have pulled it or postponed it?
I think everyone's allowed to tell their truth, obviously, and I sympathize with whatever their story is, and whatever, I think we're so fascinated in this country because it's so foreign to us. Like, we have a royal family, and I never understood like that there are other people. Like, the Queen's not just there saying like this is what goes on. Like, there's a whole group of people that have a lot of control, and there's a huge PR angle that they have there. Right. And I liked going to London. It's a beautiful city.
It is, and I just want to put it out there publicly that if Meghan and or Harry would like to come on and, share with us, we will try and find room.
We'll squeeze them in.
Schedule. Hey, next week, are you ready for this? I'm so excited. Next week on Quarantine Cabaret and Cocktails, we have some of the original principal cast of Broadway's Mamma Mia coming on for the hour. Louise Pitre, Judy Kay, Karen Mason, Tina Madigan, and Joe Mahota. They're all coming on to visit with us, and I could not be more excited.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. I'm ready.
Fun. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm going to Dancing Queen. That's a joke there, and we'll just keep it going.
So guess who's waiting backstage? One of our favorite guests of all time. One of our first guests of all time, right?
Yes.
Jake Ryan Flynn is here. I'm going to bring him on.
Jake, full-blown Broadway star, Jake Ryan Flynn.
Hey, Jake, how are you?
Hey, good.
So
Thanks
big.
for having me back.
Of course. How is everything? How's your quarantine going?
A couple weeks ago, I just got back from a month-long trip in Florida. We were in Fort Lauderdale at a house with my family, which was something we never would have done if there wasn't a pandemic. So, I mean, it was an awesome trip. I mean,
oh, nice.
I'm so cold back home now.
Well, you're up in Boston, right?
Yeah, it's actually pretty warm today. It's like 70, but like when I came back, I was like shivering at school, just like. But you're a great vacation.
And you're a whole bunch of boys, right? For people that don't know, there's a whole bunch of Flynn boys.
A lot of people get hurt in the pool, but
it happens.
Yes.
And what's going on with school? Are you in school? Is it virtual?
My school is 5 days a week in person.
Wow.
Which is actually really nice because, I mean, online Zoom school, I just don't really like it. I just like, it's hard to focus. It's like, but like when I'm like in there, like gets me up in the morning, gets me going. So it's been nice being back on like a schedule.
Yes.
So I've enjoyed the 5 days a week in person, and I just found out I got accepted into Pingree School, high school that I'll be going to next year, which is really exciting.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
What school is that?
It's like 10 minutes away from my house. It's a private school. It's called Pingree School. My dad is the football coach there. So I'm really excited that I got accepted. So I just found that out.
That's awesome.
That and actually in October, which was really exciting thing, we did a socially distanced haunted outdoor maze. Because I love Halloween, and it's like me, Halloween's a big deal for me. It's like tops Christmas, and so it was. I think it's our third year doing it. Obviously, this was long distance, but it took like almost a month and a half to construct. And it was all me and my brothers. We built up this haunted house, and it was a really awesome experience, especially like in a pandemic. It was really exciting to do that. So that was a big thing that we did in between the last time I was on the show. That in Florida. So it's been cool. Nice.
Now, do you have school tomorrow?
Yes, I have school tomorrow.
So do you want to hang out with us for the show? Are you good?
Sure, I'm fine. I don't go to bed till later because I can't fall asleep until like 9, 10 o'clock anyways. I'm just laying there, so like I'm fine.
If you're new to the show,
I have to skip it.
Jake is going to come for our job here. I know he's a natural host.
Why not? Why not?
Jake, if you don't know, is full-blown Broadway star. He was Charlie in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and he is in Mrs. Doubtfire, and he was supposed to open on Mrs. Doubtfire and when the pandemic started a year ago. So Jake, he reunited the cast of Mrs. Doubtfire for us, and you started this whole. Your mother,
my mom. She got all the text messages going, and
that was our first Broadway cast reunion.
Yeah,
and now we've launched the Broadway cast reunion series because of you, and it's huge. It's so great.
So thanks, Jake. And thanks for your mom.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have another guest I want to bring on, who is
pro.
He is a pro, and he's been a dear friend for many years. His name is Richard Skipper. He's an incredible entertainer. He's a wonderful host, and probably one of the most supportive people of artists. I don't know if I said that grammatically correct, that I know, because so many artists are, very competitive and whatnot. But I've known Richard for years and years and years, and he is like the biggest cheerleader of artists. And it's really, really wonderful. And he never wavers from that. He started a series called Richard Skipper Celebrates, where he celebrates artists. It's a 1-hour talk show, and he had invited me to come on my birthday last month, which I did, and we had such a great time. And I asked him during the show, I'm like, so now which day of the week do you do this? And he's like, every day. Now, Robert and I do this show once a week, and now we do the Broadway cast reunion twice a month. And I'm exhausted. I've run out of sweaters. I mean, I'm exhausted. I don't know how he does this. But he's amazing. He's going to be on in 1 minute, but I just want to show you just a little sizzle of his career.
Richard Skipper Celebrates. Every show is a celebration. Each show, Richard delivers the artists you love, showcasing what makes them unique. Never gossipy. The antidote to a sometimes hectic world. Now, here's your host, Richard Skipper.
And welcome to the latest edition of Richard Skipper Celebrates.
Carol Channing is one of Broadway and the theater's greatest icons. I'm also proud to say that she is one of Palm Springs' greatest icons. This star was dedicated in October of 2010.
I've always been a big fan of Carol's. I absolutely adore her. She, to me, epitomizes what show business used to be about.
The parade passes by. I'm gonna go and taste Saturday's high life before the parade passes by. I'm gonna get some life back into my life.
Oh my God! We found things that I haven't seen in years.
How are you, Richard?
I'm doing great, but I want to. Your introduction at the very beginning of the show made me very nervous because I know that you wanted royalty on the show. Can you call me?
Yes. Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
Yes. And Jake, it's such an honor to meet you. So
it's such an honor to meet you too.
Crazy, thank you. But you guys are just the best at what you do, and you can cram so much into 2 or 3 hours a week. I have to do a little bit more because I have to rise to your level. And I'm hard to get there. Yes.
Here's my question for you. So when I first met you, I think you were really at the height of your run doing your show. For those that don't know, Richard was this incredible impersonator, and he did a show as Carol Channing, but it wasn't like the normal like female impersonator kind of show, because you truly like embodied her spirit in a very real, honest way. It was not campy. It was not, it wasn't for laughs. It was real, okay. So was that the only character or actress that you did on stage?
No, when I first started in Cabaret, I started performing as Judy Garland, believe it or not. I opened with Mama, but physically, I am so much bigger than she was. She was only 4'11".
Aren't we all?
Yes, 5'11", and I will tell you, performing, and I will say this about both personas. Performing as Judy was very difficult because everyone wanted to go into the darker areas of her life. And you know me, I'm all about celebrating. I wanted to celebrate her at the height of her magic. What made her that star that people wanted to see in concert. And even at her frailest, she gave and gave and gave to the audience. That's what I wanted to give to the audience, to my audiences. But every single interview that I did led with the darker side of her. And then when Carol came along, and believe it or not, I did not pursue either of those. And that's another long show that we'll have to do at some other time. But when I started performing as Carol, it was almost as if the heavens opened up for me, because all of a sudden, people were seeing what I was doing. The greatest gift that came out of that, I will share this, 2 photographs here, is that's Carol and me.
Wow.
And then, there we are. And then this was in her home the day that she got her star on the Palm Springs Walk of Fame, which you saw. And
that's amazing.
But Carol and I became very good friends, and she liked what I did. The first time that she saw me perform, I went in with the attitude that if she didn't like what I was doing, I would never do it again. Not all, but most impersonators who are impersonating someone are presenting that person through a lens. They're presenting that person as they see them. And many times what they are doing is they are presenting a caricature of other celebrity impersonators that they've seen before them. Like, for example, Betty Davis. We all know the shtick that goes with Betty Davis, and with Carol as well. Carol is probably one of the most impersonated people in show business. So that first night that I got the opportunity to perform for her, again, it's a long story that we'll devote another show to, but I went in with the attitude that if she doesn't like what I'm doing, I'll never do it again.
You won't do it.
I won't do it. And she sat on a stool in front of me, and I did my entire show for her. And she got up on stage with me. She performed with me. She showed me how to do certain movements. And then she spoke to the audience, and she said that most people who impersonated her made fun of her. She found a lot of it very cruel. And she said that this was not an impersonation, in her words. It was a Valentine to her. She really respected that. And that began a long, long friendship. And when she got her star on the Palm Springs Walk of Fame, and and I called her and I said, I think I'm coming out to Palm Springs for this. And she says, well, why don't you stay with us? And I stayed at their home.
Wow.
And, that was.
And I'm just curious, what led you to even, think about or start the whole impersonation, avenue? Because you've got a gorgeous voice.
Thank you.
As a vocalist. So, I mean, when did that happen, and what was the inspiration for that?
Well, I'll try to encapsulate this, but there used to be, when I came to New York in 1979, there was a place called the Piano Bar, and it was at 67th and Broadway, and every Thursday night was their Broadway night, and I would get up at the Piano Bar and I would just sing as Richard. And this went on, for quite some time, and then I had some friends that came to visit from South Carolina. Now, when I was in high school, I used to do lunchtime concerts on the front steps of our high school. which tells you the kind of kid I was in school.
Of course you did.
I relate.
Where did you grow up?
In Conway, South Carolina.
Okay.
It was the gateway to Myrtle Beach. So I grew up doing these lunchtime concerts, and I would come out and mimic everything that I saw on television the night before.
Okay.
My impersonation of Carol started with Lucille Ball does an impersonation of Carol, and that's where it started for me. So I moved to New York several years later. I'm in New York. My friends come to visit, and I said, let's go to the piano bar. I got up. Thank God I got a great response. And Houston Allred, I don't know if you knew Houston.
Oh, yes.
But Houston was playing the piano, and he said, Richard, do you have something else? And one of my friends yelled, do Carol Channing. And I said, I'm not going to get up and perform here as Carol Channing. The audience is screaming. So Houston got up from behind the piano, and he said, do you know the Hello Dolly number? And I said, well, of course I do. He said, no. Do you know the Hello Dolly number? All the verses, all the lead-ins, everything. And I said, yes. He gets up. He starts casting all of the waiters for the number, the people that were sitting there. I got up. I performed at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and the place went crazy. I was 19 years old. And everybody is jumping up and everyone's screaming and everything. And there was a wonderful woman, Leola Harlow was her name. And she was a costumer. And she came over and she said, what's your drag name? And I said, my what? I didn't even know what that meant. And she said, well, obviously you do this. And I said, no. So she said, if you ever decide that you want to dress as Carol, I want to be the one to dress you. And I said, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So after several months of going to the piano bar and Houston always getting me up to perform, I go to an audition. I walk in the room, and the moment I walk in, one of the guys goes, you're Carol Channing. And I thought, this is it. My career is over. And it was called All American Boy. It was off Broadway. And, but the title song of the show took place in a cabaret room, and the actors go to a piano bar, and this guy comes out and sings All American Boy. They thought, what if he was an impersonator, and what if he was performing as Carol? So they worked with me. I did the number. They cast me in the show, and they said, we have no budget. You've heard this before. So we're assuming you have your own costumes. And I said, yes, I do. And I ran out. I called Leola Harlow. She said, come right over. She fitted me for my first gown. I opened in the show, and the show, I stopped the show. But after the show was over, the director and the producer made the executive decision to cut me from the show because they didn't want the show to be about this number. It was just something that just stuck out like a specialty number.
Right.
And so, but I had a costume. So as Jake said, his favorite holiday was Halloween. My favorite holiday was Halloween for a different reason, Jake. Every year on Halloween, I would dress as Carol, and I would go to all the piano bars, and I would get up and I would perform. And I would walk in full regalia, and that went on for several years. And then in 1990, John Glines wrote a show called Men of Manhattan, and he wrote a character named Carl Channing, who was obsessed with Carol Channing. That ran for 6 months, big hit for me. And then when the show closed, I decided, I had no desire to ever do it again. And then Carol came back to Broadway in Hello Dolly. And a friend of mine called me up and said, if you don't do a show about her, you're making a huge mistake. And I said, what if she doesn't like it? And that led me to the story I told before. The New York City Gay Men's Chorus was doing a celebration of Jerry Herman, and Carol was going to be there. I tried to get into the concert, landed on deaf ears. A friend of mine called me and said, I'm playing the after party. Crash it as Carol. And he learned my entire show. I came in, I walked in the room. They brought me over to Carol. There are pictures on you, if you can Google them, of that night of Carol and me meeting for the first time. They brought me to her table. She's asking me all these questions, but I stayed in character. And she said that I scared the hell out of her, that I had such a knowledge of her career. And then all these people were there to see her. They were not there to see me. So I said, Carol, I would love to do a song for you before you leave. And she said, you would like to do a song for me? And I said, well, actually, I'd like to do my whole show, but I'm sure you don't have time. She says, I'll make the time. When, where? I said, upstairs in 10 minutes. She stands up and she says to everybody in the room, I never thought I'd say this, but in 10 minutes, we're going up to see Carol Channing. And she brought the entire, like the Pied Piper. She sat there. I did my show for her. That led to me going to Atlantic City and Vegas and around the world with this. And it became a career for 20 years that I did not anticipate. I did not pursue. And I can't begin to tell you the number of times that Carol was in the audience. And not to pat myself on the back, but I did an event for the American Theater Wing, Tony Awards. And the guy who put it together, Bob Kalele, I don't know if you know him or not, but Bob put the evening together and he told me that when I was up on stage, Carol leaned over and said, am I really that good?
Oh,
wow.
And that to me, that was it for me.
That's amazing.
But I will say this, the closer that I got to her as a friend, the less that I wanted to perform as her.
Right.
And because I never felt that I could live up to the real person. It was one thing that she was this iconic person that was out there. But as we became friends, and I've got, a poster hanging on the wall that she signed for me. And she's, you're a great musical comedy star, but no one will ever know it because you're hiding behind me. Let the world know who you are. She was right.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. I'm so glad to hear this because I didn't know the whole history. It's really lovely. Really lovely. Well, you're not going anywhere because we've got lots more time, but I want to just take a pause from This Is Your Life because we have a couple guests here and we want to focus on a fundraiser, a gala that's happening this weekend for the Bergen Performing Arts Center in Bergen, New Jersey.
Yes, Englewood, New Jersey. Bergen
Is it
County,
Englewood?
in the house. Yes,
what do I know? I'm in LA. I don't know these things.
It's near my home.
Is it near your home?
Yes.
Maybe you'll go.
We're neighbors, me and Richard.
Here's what you can expect to see.
The impact of COVID can be felt worldwide, but no industry has been hit harder than the arts. An iconic theater that held performances by some of the world's greatest artists was forced to close its doors. I'm Ray Chu, music director for TV and a proud Bergen County resident. Major artists who tour throughout the world make Bergen PAC one of their most loved places to perform. Musicians and artists who would normally tour the great theaters across the country and around the world have felt the impact of this COVID-19 crisis. This not only affects our gig workers, but also the essential staff who work behind the scenes from production to maintenance to the box office. So join us for a free virtual event as we open our closed doors to welcome you back for an evening filled with musical performances from the Bergen PAC greats. This is our home. Bergen PAC is your home.
Wow, what a lineup. Please welcome Alex Diaz and Amelia Gold.
Hi guys. Hi everyone.
Hey everybody. That made me cry.
Me too.
It made me cry too. It's amazing.
It's powerful.
Well, Alex, I told the story beforehand. My first job ever, I was 16 years old. My parents told me I had to get a job. I got a job at the box office at the John Harm Center for the Arts, which is now the Bergen Performing Arts Center. And I used to have to take a cab, and the cab cost more than I got paid to work there because my parents, I just wanted to work in the arts in some way. So the building is important to me. I met some of the most important people in my life there. And when you guys called, I was like, Lee, we have to help them get the word out. It's a free event. Who doesn't want to watch Paul Anka and Dionne Warwick and Jay Leno and for free? So Alex, how did this happen? How do we watch?
Well, so it's on Saturday, this Saturday at 7:30. It's going to be streamed live on YouTube. The link is on our website already. You just have to register to get it. It's free, completely free. And we wanted it to be free because of everything that's going on. It should be accessible. People should be able to watch it without having to worry about, I can't because I need to pay for this or whatever. We've had some incredible sponsorships that have come from it. Just a huge support for the theater to come back, for the theater to remain alive, and for the community to have the arts again, which is super important. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a crazy journey, a fun journey, because we go from doing stuff on stage live to now going behind the camera and filming it, doing live filmings of it, having Paul Anka send us footage from his home studio, me writing the script and like having Itzhak Perlman say the words that I wrote, and that's like, yeah. And I watch it and I'm like, whoa, this is happening right now. So I've had moments of just like great. This is a great thing, and the silver linings in the pandemic, right? But there's also like this real fear that if it's gone, it may not come back. Right. And a lot of us feel it in the performing arts world. A lot of us as performers, as directors, as administrators, educators, teaching artists, it's so fragile right now if we're going to have work coming up. Right. I mean, we seem to be getting out of this. We seem to be finally finding that light at the end of the tunnel. But at the same time, it's like, how do we make something where we're still engaging our community, we're still visible, and we get to bring all of these artists together. And funny enough, we got most of these artists were just like, when we asked them, they were like, yeah, here, sure, have this video. Amazing. We'll do whatever it is. So it's been really great.
That's great.
Well, and you've got an amazing lineup.
It is star-studded. I mean, John Fogerty, Jay Leno, he's not doing a bit, and I want to be clear, about that. But he gives such a powerful testimonial about the arts and about Bergen PAC, and in it, he literally says, once it's gone, it doesn't come back. So help out with it. Dionne Warwick, who is just a megastar. Still a megastar. I mean, she showed up, mask on, beautiful fur coat on, and was like, hey, children, I'm here. And she went up to the dressing room. She got ready. She came back down. The kids, the choir was, just starstruck. One of the little girls said to her, Miss Dionne, I know that you're Whitney's aunt. And she just burst out into, I want to dance with somebody. And she's like, girl, I can't wait to see you alive on stage. So it was fun for the kids, too, to interact with Dionne. And Darlene Love is in it. I mean, just Paul Anka, Darlene Love. I have the list here. It's crazy. John Fogerty, Ali Stroker, Ali, who was just amazing and awesome to film and shoot. The cast of Ain't Too Proud, The Life and Times of the Temptations. So Jelani, my buddy, who we did Paper Mill Playhouse together back in the day, and so he's in it. And then maybe there's a little cameo appearance there. By the beautiful Miss Amelia Gold, by Kelly and myself. Yes. We've kind of like, I don't know, coined ourselves the Bergen PAC prayer.
Good, I love it.
Is this going to be live streamed, or has all of this already been recorded in the venue?
Yeah, everything is pre-recorded. So it's going to be at 7:30. It's going to be streamed, so you won't be able to see it before then. And then afterward, it's going to be available as well for people to see.
Fantastic. And Amelia, you're an incredible violinist.
Oh, you're so
and
sweet.
What are you performing in the gala?
So first of all, I just wanted to say something about Bergen PAC and John Hart, because Robert, my first job was at 16 playing in the orchestra of the New Jersey Chorale, the Hallelujah Chorus. It was like one rehearsal on the show. And I grew up going to John Harms as a kid. And when it became Bergen PAC, I was asked to join as a trustee. And I've been there for as many years as it has been in existence. And when we hired the amazing Alex to run our school, it just grown.
You hired me.
And I was like, I believe in that kid. So that being said, this whole gala is really in keeping with the values of Bergen PAC as a community theater. And that's why the all access, just like there's all access to our school, we don't turn any students away due to inability to pay. And if you look at the list of young people who are now professional artists who have come from our school, they never would have done it if it was a pay to play. So I love that even while we're desperate and need people to support theaters, that we're still keeping true to who we are as a community theater. And I just had to say that because I love Bergen PAC so much. I love Alex so much. And we're actually, Alex and the amazing Kelly Rapke and I are doing the prayer.
Oh, fantastic.
And it was, when we recorded it, was the first time I put on a concert dress in a year. And it still fit. We were all very grateful. But we were up on stage, with the lights and 3 camera crews, and it almost felt like we're back. And I'm hoping that this gala kind of harkens everybody coming back. And I think, with this beautiful weather out, that people are going to see, we can come back safely, and we'll support our theater, because, there's very few venues that do what Bergen PAC does, from the education programs to the seniors to the incredible headline artists. And that's why, when Bergen PAC put out the call to artists to come, everybody said yes.
Right.
Because it really has a soul. And I was thrilled to get to play with my friends and support the theater I love. So I'm so happy to be here with all of you guys. And thank you for giving the platform for people to know about it and to have access to the artists. Because I can say, as a young person myself, I grew up in Englewood, where the theater is. I saw every young artist. I mean, as a young person, I saw every famous person for the first time there. Itzhak Perlman I saw there. Nathan Milstein I saw there. All the great violinists. And then when I graduated from Juilliard, John Harms had a Juilliard series, and then I did my debut there when I was 21. So it's like a big...
It's family. It's a part of the Jersey family.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to put up the slide again so everybody has the information. And I'm excited. I have something to do this weekend.
Yes, we'll be watching.
Right?
I'm
going to put pants on for it.
Enjoy it.
That's a little strong. Let's take it down.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much.
We have a clip. If you want to, if we have a short clip that you just put together, if you want to see a little piece, can we show a little piece, Lee, of the gala?
Yes.
We have a little minute of Dion. I just see the kids in Dion. Well, how can we not take exclusive sneak peek?
Lord, we don't need another mountain. There are mountains and hillsides enough to climb, and there are oceans and rivers enough to cross, enough to last till the end of time. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there is, just to this love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some. but for everyone.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Wow. 7:30 this Saturday. And if you go to bergenpac.org, you just register and then you can get a free ticket. There you go. Wow.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I was thinking while we were watching it, talking about kids and talking to Richard, Jake, you are a product of a good theater education, acting, singing education, how important that is. And Richard, you are such a celebrator of art. I love when you talk about people being an entertainer versus being just a performer and the love and history you have in music. What has, Jake, what do you account your success? What was the moment that you knew this is what you were supposed to do?
I remember. So there's a regional theater, North Shore Music Theater, it's 5 minutes away from my house, and that was they do a Christmas Carol every year, and I played Tiny Tim, and that was the first professional show I did. And I remember I went to the first rehearsal and I started getting knowing everyone, and I remember my mom started going to my dad. He was like, "Wow, I think he's found his people." The people who he likes hanging out. And I just sort of realized, I don't even know if I realized it until now, this is what I liked. I look forward to this, I look forward to being in that room every day. I look forward to not only being on stage, but the rituals off stage during a run, the rituals you have backstage with the cast. Sometimes the backstage life is literally just as much fun as the acting on stage. I mean, really, the backstage life I miss so much from the theater. So yeah, it was probably then at North Shore, my first preferred show, I sort of realized this is what I want to do.
That's great.
Yeah.
And Richard, how did you start celebrating all of the entertainers that you do on your show? Which
it's interesting. When I was in South Carolina, when I was 13 years old, and imagine this is in the mid 70s, long before Jake was in. Robert, maybe Lee, I don't know.
I was barely born.
But I had a mentor named Florence Epps, and she had a little playhouse in her backyard. And I used to go to her house every Wednesday and Thursday afternoon. And in exchange for elocution lessons and reading from the classics and learning about the history of the theater, I would do chores at her house. I would help mow the lawn. I would go to the supermarket for her. I would wash windows. I would do whatever I could, because to my parents, and Jake, I applaud your parents tremendously. My parents didn't get it. And so growing up in a small town in South Carolina, this was a frivolous dream that I had. So I would go to Miss Epps and we would be reading, and a name would come up of a famous person. And she would stop me and she would say, "Tell me 3 things that they're known for." And if I didn't know, she would close the book and she would say, "I will see you next week at the same time. Know who they are when you come back in." And she instilled in me that every time I step on stage, every time I'm in front of a camera, that I am carrying the mantle of every great artist that has gone before me. And I've never forgotten that. And I think that I don't know what's happened in our industry where our history is not revered as much as it should be. Lifetime Achievement Awards are relegated to off-camera awards at the Tony Awards. And I grew up at a time where the Tony Awards celebrated these people. A couple of years ago, they were giving Tommy Tune the Lifetime Achievement Award. I campaigned and I got him to get his award on screen, on camera, and they even honored him with a special production number. They were going to give it to him before the Tony ceremony. Carol Channing gets the Lifetime Achievement Award, and she's giving her speech, and they're bringing the curtain down on her. We have to respect the people that have gone before us, who have paved the way for all of us to do what we do. And there are kids in theater today who have no idea who Ethel Merman and Mary Martin were, what their contributions were to the theater. And I'm talking about working professionals who don't know who these people are.
Right.
And that's why I want to celebrate them.
Wow. I don't know how you do it every day, but my hat is off to you.
Amazing.
Well, Richard,
the books on my desk, and I have to tell you, because on Tuesday night, I'm just going to use this as an example. I'm celebrating Nat King Cole. His 101st birthday would have been this upcoming week, and Will Friedwald has written a book. Now, I booked this interview well over a month ago, and the book arrived yesterday for my interview that is on Tuesday night. Here is the book.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
I guess you're going to have to call Evelyn Wood.
Oh,
man.
It's a lot of work.
But Richard, that's what I like about your show and listening to them. You are so in depth. Like, you have such a vast knowledge about every person that you speak to, that you're educating the viewer while speaking to the person, and you even take the guest off guard by the fact that you know and have done so much research.
You know more about them than they do.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. Do you remember Peggy Pope?
No.
Peggy Pope was the Atta Girl in 9 to 5, the movie. That every time something would happen to Dabney Coleman, she would take a flask from her bottle and she'd go, Atta Girl, Atta Girl. And she did every show in the 70s. She was on Soap. She was the one who said to Billy Crystal, "Are you a homo?" Which was the first time. Remember that? That was the first time that had ever been said on television. Billy Crystal, and she was on Soap, and Barney Miller, and Bewitched, and all of these shows. And her book comes out. This was years ago when I was doing on-stage interviews. So we set up an interview at Barnes & Noble. And before I took her to lunch at Joe Allen's, we had a nice lunch, getting to know each other. We're on stage. And I said, okay, let's talk about some of your iconic appearances. Bewitched. She said, I was on Bewitched. And I don't know, in all honesty, I don't know if it was the beginning of a dementia or what. She did not remember anything. But thank God I had researched the book. I knew where, and I would say, well, you were on this episode where Tabitha turns her best friend into a puppy, and the puppy runs away. That sounds interesting. I have to go and see it.
Well, Richard, I teased Lee. I told Lee, I said, Lee, you're going on Richard's show for an hour. You better be prepared, because he's going to ask you things that you haven't thought about.
Well, there are a couple of things. Number one, I will never ask a gotcha question. I will never ask a question that has to do with salacious details of a person's life. I want to give a shout out to Chuck Pennington, who does my promos. He works with me on the shows, and he is a genius in terms of finding these clips. I interviewed Adrienne Barbeau, and she did a lot of B films, and I was so nervous about what her reaction was going to be for us showing this. But God bless her, she loved it, and they do get a kick out of this. I never want to put someone in an awkward position. My shows are not gossipy because I don't talk. If they bring up a subject, we go with it. But I don't ask about people that are not there to defend themselves. If there are stories, and there are so many people, and you know this, in this business who want to go for the dirt. And right. If I can say one thing very quickly, when I first started doing this, I wrote a blog for many, many years. We live in a culture that's built on bullying. If you look at reality-based television, every show on television is about one-upmanship. Someone's going to get kicked off the island. Someone's cupcake is better than someone else's cupcake. Someone's dress design is better than someone else's dress design. This singer is better than that singer. And, we need to sell it. And that's how it all started for me. I thought, I want to celebrate these people instead of tearing them down. And you talked about Oprah's interview. The next morning on social media, the attacks were out of this world. And I did a post on Facebook, and I said, there's a little thing called a remote control. There's an off button. There is a mute button where you can create your own commentary, or you can change the channel. I don't understand what it is in our culture where in the theater, you've got all these people who are allegedly theater fans, and they will go to chat boards and rip people to shreds. Donna McKechnie posted on Facebook 2 days ago that she got a call in the middle of the night from someone who read a bad review of hers from 25, 30 years ago and called her to read her the review in the middle of the night. A review that she wanted to forget. I mean, the fact that so many people are just out there that are, have this streak in them. I don't know if, what we've gone through culturally in the last 4 to 6 years has put people in a mindset where they think that it's okay. But I want no part of it. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Hey, Jake, do you read reviews when you're in a show, or do you not read them?
Actually, I mean, sometimes I reviews, I always laugh at them. It doesn't really affect me. I just move. But there was this one time, because when we did Charlie, we all split the role. But at the beginning, they didn't during previews, they didn't know when was going on, so they would have a slip in. Like this person will be performing. So my mom's sitting behind this person, the row. It's before the show. The person opens the playbill and goes, we got the understudy, Jack something, and slams the playbill. And my mom told me, and I was like dying. I was like, of course.
Your mom turned around and said, "That's my son, and I'm proud of him."
I hope so. And then you blew them away.
Laughing, and I was like, I mean, I take that as a joke. I think it's funny.
Jake, my first stock job, I was doing the Diary of Anne Frank, believe it or not. I was playing Peter Van Damme, and 2 critics came to see the show. One critic said I gave the most moving portrayal of adolescence into adulthood that he had ever seen. And the other critic said I did more facial mugging in one scene than Cal Burnett did in her entire career. Which one do I believe?
I know.
Right? There you go. Hey, Jake, do you have any inside news about Broadway reopening, timing, anything like that?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know really much anything. I'm hoping. Do you know?
No.
May. I hope. I don't think so. I don't think so. I just don't. No. With the vaccine, there's just not enough time for everyone to get a vaccine. Maybe I'm hoping September. I would love for Broadway to be open in September. That would be amazing. But it's just there's not enough. I mean, everyone in the cast would need a vaccine. I'm assuming. I mean, I'd probably, if I was in the show, I'd need a vaccine. So they have to get all the Broadway shows to get a vaccine or something like that. So I don't know when, but I would love it to be in September.
I have a question for Jake, if I may. Jake, have they given you any type of protocols for when the announcement will be made? What the time frame will be like for all of you before you will go back into a theater, or do they have any gauge on that right now?
They don't really know. It's hard to tell because if everything goes well, it could be sooner than later. They don't really know. We'll be prepared when we all go back. We'll have to go back into rehearsals because we haven't done the show in the year, and we were in previews. So we hadn't even finished the show. So we have to go back and rehearse. So they know we're going to have to rehearse and practice, almost learn everything again because no one's done it for a year. And so they don't know. We don't know when it'll start up, but we're hoping sooner rather than later.
And if I can say, one of my dear friends, Doreen Montalvo, who was in the show, was one of the early casualties, very sorry about that.
Yes. She was awesome. It's an amazing person.
Richard, I can't believe it's been a year. Today it hit me this afternoon. Richard, I know this is a terrible segue. Can you tell us a little bit about the upcoming shows that you have? Because I'm become such a fan. I watched your Connie Francis interview and then I was like, I'm in. Sorry, Lee. Lee, I was into Connie Francis before I ended up. And let me tell you, Richard called
How
me.
did you get her on your show?
Yeah.
It was her birthday, and I sent her. I was supposed to interview her. She also has a huge book. It's called Volume 1. And when the book came out, I was scheduled to interview her. We were going to do a whole evening built around her at the Laurie Beachman in New York. And it fell apart. She didn't come to New York. And I said, well, if an opportunity ever comes. Now, with her, she said yes if she didn't go on camera. So we built a show around the interview with clips and a few other people that came in. But coming up, George Chakiris, I'm going to be interviewing him. Academy Award winner, West Side Story. Ruta Lee has a new book out. And Anita Pointer from the Pointer Sisters.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. And I don't know if you remember this, and look him up. The name is probably not going to ring any bells. But in the 70s, there was a child actor named Sparky Marcus. And he was on everything. He was in the movie Freaky Friday. He was on Mary Hartman. He was on Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. And he grew up in front of our eyes. And when he became a teenager, he left the business. And he's never done an interview since he left the business. I have him on Sunday.
Wow.
Get out of here.
That's
awesome.
amazing. That's fantastic. Well, I can't believe these hours go by so quickly. It's crazy. It's crazy. Thank you so much for joining us, Richard. We adore you.
Thank you. I admire you.
If you go on Richard Skipper Celebrates, you can find his whole schedule.
If I may say, please, everyone, subscribe if you can to my YouTube channel. It's Richard Skipper Celebrates. If you do subscribe, you'll get a reminder. You're not going to get all these emails from me with every show, but you'll get a reminder when I am going to go live. And then you can make the choice whether you want to see it then, see it later, or even binge watch, because there are lots there.
There's a lot of content, and he is an encyclopedia of show business. He's going to give you a yes.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
from the best.
Oh.
And I want to tell you before we go, I want to do a shout out because the other night I called Carol and Tom, Carol Cook, on their anniversary. I've never laughed so much in my life. This woman is one of the funniest women. I produced her in New York, and she is just one of the funniest women on the planet. And she says, well, Richard, they want to give my clothes Goodwill. But she says, can you imagine all those homeless people wearing sequins?
I know. She's a character. 97 and a force of nature. They just celebrated their 57th wedding anniversary.
And she loves you so much.
Oh, and we love her. We love her. We all got vaccinated together. Carol, Tom, Mark, and I. We did the drive-through at Dodger Stadium, and we had some fun. We had some fun. Not
Richard,
that vaccinated is fun, but it was fun.
Richard, you live right up the road. We're having lunch outside. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. I want all the backstage. I want the Richard Skipper dirt. That's the real show. I want the dirt.
We'll do it.
That's it.
I love
But you have to bring Renee Taylor along with you.
Oh my God.
That's
another discussion. That's another discussion.
We can have that. Can happen. Camera. That can happen.
We have a gift for you. We have a gift for you. Thank you so much, Jake. I'm so glad that we ran into you earlier on Instagram and that you came back. Please give.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, give your family our love and stay safe and keep us posted on what's happening with Mrs. Doubtfire on Broadway. Richard, keep in touch.
Thank you. You too. Absolutely.
Yeah. Robert.
Lee,
I'll
see you Thursday. I'm going to talk to you in 5 minutes.
Bye.
Bye.